Hey lovely sexy hobby people, welcome to today's video, which is going to be the review for issues 33 and 34 of Warhammer Combat Patrol. This is our squad of 10 Legionaries, or Chaos Space Marines. Let me just double check. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 bases. Double check because there's been a couple of occasions in previous issues of Stormbringer where we didn't get all the bases for a squad. But yeah, looking forward to building these. I've previously built the multi-part Chosen, I think they were. So this I'm looking forward to doing. I've built the Monopose Legionnaires previously. So I'm looking to see what kind of extra bits we get with this that will go in the bits box, and that'll be great. I'll see you on the desk. Right then, lovelies, shall we have a look at Warhammer Combat Patrol issues 33 and 34? We get our Legionaries. Four, 6, 8, 10. Good. I think I've mentioned before that I've had issues with bases not coming in the magazines. Probably because there's been a hole in the bottom of the bag, and they've probably dropped out. Now then, Warhammer Combat Patrol. Let's have a look at the magazines. Legionaries, the Black Legion. Straight into our how to build, and yeah, so I think I said before that I've done the Monopose and I've built the Chosen kit as well, because that came with one of the box sets that I got. I think it was Wrath of the Soulforged King, possibly, can't recall. And yeah, there's loads here. Loads of shoulder pads, plenty of shoulder pads, plenty of heads. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 listed there, but there's likely to be more. I will probably go for a helmeted head on each. And here we go. So it looks like we are going for a mix of close combat with bolt pistols and chainswords and power weapons and plasma pistols, and ranged marines with bolters. I like this guy who's got an ammo belt attached to his he's got an ammo belt feed box attached to his hip, and then the feed goes into the bolt gun. On a practical level, I don't know whether that would actually be feasible, because that would have to be some fair old mechanics to be able to deal with the disintegrating link and eject both out of the weapon. And okay, here we go. Why? And again, another magazine. Another issue where there's a problem with this stuff sticking together. I don't think I'm going to get around that. Oh yes I am, hopefully. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like, as I said, we've got a mix of ranged and close combat weaponries. I like the fact that straight away I can see that in this box set we get a mix of, excuse me, static and running poses. That is much better selection. I much prefer that. I'd like to see the return of some kneeling marines as well. You know, just that ability to have that variation throughout the squad. Right, Black Legions. Talking about the Black Legion here, which is what you guys will be painting these marines as if you follow the instructions. I think I said previously that mine are going to be following the Crimson Slaughter. So Sons of Horus, Hosts Uncounted. We've got Khorne Berserkers, we've got Rubric Marines, Plague Marines, Noise Marines, Legionary. The Black Legion recruits ruthlessly from other Chaos Space Marine warbands. Their ranks include warriors from many other traitor legions. I didn't know that. Even fanatical worshippers of individual chaos gods, such as the pestilent Plague Marines of Nurgle or the mysterious Rubric Marines of Tzeentch, can be found united under the banner of Chaos Undivided. Abaddon's singular charisma allows him to employ battle tactics that make most of the unique strengths of the warbands that made up his legion. Khorne Berserkers charge into battle covered by shrieking sonic weaponry of the Noise Marines with legionaries in reserve. So there you go. And then we have a little bit on Abaddon the Despoiler for our Red H section. We have a new story, Dark Descent Part 1, which is going to clearly involve Chaos Space Marines. Then we have our Collect for our Grey section for Legionaries. Legionaries are the black heart of the Chaos Space Marines and raiding forces. Each legionary legionnaire in a warband matches the might of a Space Marine with centuries of experience and the blessings of the Dark Gods. So you get a D6 rolling chart here for background table, and then you can like name your unit as well as tick off when you've built, paint and played them. Data sheet, so Legionaries, they have a 6-inch move, toughness 4, 3 up save, 2 wounds, 6 leadership, 6 plus leadership, and a 2 objective control. And their ranged weapons are going to be bolt pistols, bolt guns, heavy bolter, melter gun, plasma pistol, and plasma pistol, both standard and supercharged. Then they have melee weapons, so they've got a cursed weapon, a Astartes chainsword, and close combat weapons. And then patrol squads, this unit can be set up as 2 units, split into 2 units, each containing 5 models, which basically goes back to the very old combat squad rule that Space Marines used to have. Chaos Space Marine unit names, and again we're using a rolling chart here. So it says roll 1 dice to pick the roll. So you're basically going to turn your dice into rolling for a chart, although it's only got 4 columns here, so you could turn around and say 1 is column 1, 2 and 3 is column 2, 3 and 4, 4 and 5 is column 3, and then 6 is column 4, for example. You could do it that way, and then it gives you like names, etc. Leaders' names. We're rolling 6. We've got 6 here. Right, then we're into core rules, making attacks, hit roll, wound rolls, allocating attacks, saving throws, inflicting damage. Talks about feel no pain and deadly demise. And then a hints and tips, fast dice rolling. Obviously 34 is the second part of our Legionaries, but 35 and 36 are Havocs. which are essentially the Devastator squad of the Chaos Marines. Now, coming into paint, so we're obviously, as I said, you're basically painting them Black Legion, so you're coming in straight off the bat with Lead Belcher, Abaddon Black and then Lead Belcher for the metallic parts, and then you're also going to be using Retributor Armour, which you get with a magazine to paint the gold. Now, personally, I prefer to use what's Balthazar Gold, which is slightly darker, and I think gives a much more gothic-y darkness and dingy, grimy look to the gold once you've given it a wash with Agrax Earthshade. And here we go. Here's your work in progress photos. Looking good. I'm absolutely hating these with a passion. Let's get a paintbrush and just see if we can do the best possible thing to try and prevent them from ripping. No, not going to do that, so that's ripped. I hate, what is it? Come on, GW, what's going on? Why is all of a sudden your quality control shockingly shit? 13 Black Crusades, talking about the Crusades, and then are they going to talk about the final one that caused the Cicatrix Maledictum? Yeah, the Great Rift. And then we've got Khorne, talking about blood for the blood god. Weapon abilities, so assault, rapid fire, ignores cover, twin linked, pistol, torrent, lethal hits and lance. And then here's some pictures of Imperial weapons that will match their descriptions here. Dagnammit. And then scenario 22, Servants of the Gods. What are we doing for this? The followers of each of the Chaos Gods work to bring glory to the name of their patron in different ways. By following the will of their god, each disciple hopes to prove worthy of the gifts and blessings that are sometimes bestowed upon the faithful and victorious. Chaos Space Marine player chooses which of the Chaos Gods they serve for the options on the following pages. Based on their choice, the opposition player takes the troops that are indicated in the scenario. The troops must fight to the death in order to determine who is victorious in this scenario. So literally, one battle mat, you are playing or deploying each of the short table edges. So Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. Well, Tzeentch, you get to pick like 5 from each faction that you've collected so far, apart from the Chaos Space Marines. Cool. And then Chaos Undivided, and Will of Khorne, Will of Nurgle, Will of Tzeentch, and Will of Slaanesh. So you will be deploying. The Chaos Space Marine player takes the Dark Apostle with 2 Dark Disciples and unit of 10 Legionaries. And that is what you will be
deploying, and then when you make your choice, you will either be fighting the Hive, the Winged Prime and 10 Termagants, or the Space Marine Librarian and 5 Infernus Marines, or the Farseer and 10 Guardians, or for Tzeentch, you'll be basically 5 Infernus Marines, 5 Guardians and 5 Termagants. That's a mix. Cool. And then we get a picture of our Havocs on the back. Now, let's have a look at our sprues. So it is a set of 3 sprues. The sculpt date is, she said, there it is, 2019. And yeah, so a lot of these are, the main pose is monopose, but the fact is that you can then add in whatever arms, heads and backpacks you want. So in that respect, there is a certain amount of variation. It's a shame that there isn't more variation in being able to provide different poses, but there it is. Should we look at the legs and stuff first? So here we go. We've got some great shoulder pads here. We've got this lovely one with skulls on. We've got this singular skull with like vampire teeth. We've got a spiky one here. Here's our plasma gun. We're going to have a significant amount of parts left over to go in our bits box, that's for certain, which is great. Weapons. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolters. I count 6 bolters there. We have a heavy bolter. We have a plasma, 7 bolters. I've just seen another one here. So 7 bolters. We have a flamer and we have a melter gun. So you could kit out almost everything if you gave your sergeant a power weapon and pistol, and then you had 7 legionaries with the bolters, and then kitted out one with a special weapon such as plasma gun, flamer or multi-melter, and one with the heavy bolter which is on the frame. Then yeah, there's the option. We also get also the heavy weapon with the missile launcher, so that's cool. But we got 2 different plasma pistols. So 2 different plasma pistols. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolt pistols. Let's have a look on this one. 7 bolt pistols that I can see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have 7 chain swords and 1 power axe. We also have somebody holding a combat blade. So you don't have enough to give everybody in your squad one type of weapon loadout, unless of course you're buying 2 squads, and then you can, if that's the way you want to go. Personally, I think that there's tactical reasons why you would prefer to have a squad that is capable of either charging straight into combat and melee, with pistols and chainswords, such similar to like the assault squads that Space Marines used to have, or laying down ranged firepower with bolters. You know, there's pluses and minuses to each. I cannot see, unless you're in a, I mean, the problem is I've got my military head on from when I was a reservist, and you know, pistols are short range accuracy. You're not going to get them. You're not going to get shots out very far with those. So they're good for things like fighting in built-up areas, yeah, and so on and so forth. They're not great for laying down suppressive fire over longer distances. You know, and although studies have shown that most military contacts occur at around 300 meters or less, I think that if you were to go, if you wanted to, you would probably get greater tactical flexibility out of having one squad buying 2 kits and having one squad of assault Marines and one squad of bolter Marines, basically suppressing Marines. That would be how I'd go. I'm sure that you know, the fact that you can combat squad these would mean that you could break up the assault melee type Marines in that unit, split them from the fire suppression type Marines with their longer ranged weapons. But I don't know. I've not played Chaos Space Marines, although I've got a small collection. I've never played them, so I wouldn't really know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below with regards to mixing the squads, mixing up the ranged firepower and close-in combat, how that works out. If you're a Chaos Space Marine player, let me know how that works out for you. Right, come back in a sec and we'll get these built.
Hey, should we build some Chaos Legionaries? I've already done 6. So we've got 2 close combat dudes, and I've built these mostly as per the instructions. We've got our melter gunner, and then we've got 3 with bolters. We're going to build a heavy bolter, another close combat, and another standard bolter guy. So these guys, they come in various different guises with regards to how they go together. Sometimes you'll get just the legs and then you put the back of the torso and the front of the torso on. Sometimes you get like a split torso and legs like this. Sometimes you'll get a leg with the torso and then just another leg. So essentially this is how they go together. There's a lot of torsos which just have the chest piece, front of the torso which just has the chest piece, and a lot of these also have a attached bit of chainmail or loincloth, if you want to call it that. So there's your torso. I'm going to stick him to his base. And I'm going to position him slightly further back, his feet slightly further back, so that his centre of gravity is more over the centre of the base, so that hopefully he won't fall over or
drop down when he's sort of like on a slope or something like that. That just helps to keep him in position. Now we have these arms, etc. So just and really, I mean, although the body itself is pretty much one thing and you can't really change it, some of these torsos you might be able to swap around. I haven't played around with that, but some of them you might be able to swap around these like single torso, like just the chest piece. And just trying to figure out the best way to perhaps pop the head on, maybe looking that way, seeing as he's kind of like dodging that way. And the shoulder pad, I literally just, I mean, all I'm going to do is pop in some glue into the shoulder pad and then push it on. And then go into the backpack where it will be joining our marine, and there's our first one. What have we got? A heavy bolter. So first thing I'm going to do is actually made a mistake of just pushing that together, and I shouldn't have done earlier. Ta-da! Come undone. Right. So our heavy bolter comes main assemblage and the receiver, etc. Barrel comes in that. Singular piece, which I'm just going to push. I've glued that and I'm going to push it together, and hopefully that's going to get rid of any potential seam line. And then I'm just going to add in some glue on the edge there. Now this is one where you've got the upper torso in two parts and then the legs. So I'm going to glue the legs to the base. This guy has a very nice wide stable stance. Because he is firing that heavy HMG machine gun, heavy machine gun. I'm also going to pop on this. Now this has 3 tiny little studs. Don't know if you can see that, 3 tiny little studs, and they correspond to 3 tiny little holes there. So just be aware. You could potentially glue it the wrong way up if you aren't paying attention, although it shouldn't go. But you know how some people can be a bit forceful. Now that it's going to go on there, and then I apologise if you can hear vehicles outside. It's a warm day. I've got the window open. Now, some of these backpacks have these grooves, these slots taken out of them, and they have various attachments. This one, because it's going to be for our heavy weapon option, has a ammo can, which I think is great. I like the fact that that is there. Right, here we go. I am just going to test fit to make sure I get these round the right way. Now, these wrists, where these arms go into the wrists, there are tiny little slots and tabs so that they should only go one way, but it is a tiny little tab and slot. And you just need to make sure that you get them the right way round so that they, when you join them to the torso, they're going to go. Like that. Now I can come in and put the head on. I always put the head on last so that it's facing the direction that the weapon is firing in, or the movement is. And then I'm going to pop on the shoulder pads. One and two. And then finally the backpack. Ooh, that was nearly a disaster. Like so. So there's our 8th figure done. Now our final bolter boy, again bottom legs, which are going to go onto the base now. Like that. Then we have the back to go on, and again this is tabbed so it should only go one way. Then we have the front chest plate, Now, this guy is holding a bit of link for his weapon, so that is going to go together like so. So when you do this, he's holding it in his hand like that to feed it into his weapon. Right, so, and this is going to be the important bit, is getting this right. So when you have things like this where you've got a belt being fed into it, I always prefer to get the position of the weapon first, if it's just like a hand feed, because then I can come in and marry up the belt and the other arm appropriately, like so. I'm just going to need my magnifier so that I can see. And a tiny little bit of glue in that join, like that, and there you go. Then it is head. Facing the right way. Backpack. And then shoulder pads. And essentially this is rinse repeat for every miniature. And the last one we're going to build is going to be our squad leader, who has the plasma pistol and the power axe. Right, our last one. So here's one where you've got the main, you've got the leg and back of the torso, and then you have to glue on a separate leg. And then the front of the torso is going to go on. And then I'm going to glue this guy down to the base. Like so. And this is another one where you have a choice. So I've gone with some horns just to denote his seniority within the squad on his backpack. And then we have arms. Now with this guy, I am going to glue his plasma pistol together with his arm. So just set that aside, and then we have his power weapon that's going to go on. Like so. Then I'm going to swap back to the plasma pistol because it's had a little bit of time to go off. Like that. Just making sure that it's going to be aligned. I'm going to stick his head on. Now I've got his weapon, his pointing weapon on. I'm going to stick his backpack on. So, and then put his other arm on, which is just going to be down by his side, like that. And then the final shoulder pads that I've chosen for this particular squad leader. And there you go, that is our Legionaries squad built. There's our squad leader. We have our heavy weapon. We have our special weapon. We have our various bolter boys, which I do like. Where's the other one? So this for these two. This one's hand feeding a belt into his weapon. This guy has a box feed attached to his backside, which is feeding into his weapon. I like those. They're pretty cool. Two more bolter boys, and then our close combat dudes, like so. So, those are our Legionaries. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, take care. Bye bye.